Hello and welcome. Clive Meyer here. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that believe they are already mature adults and that they feel they know themselves and they're no longer under the influence of their families or friends or others. Well, there's one way to test this, and that is if you are constantly aware about why you act the way you do, why you think the way you do, why you respond the way you do, all the time, then you've reached that stage of mature adult. Invariably we don't, though, because we haven't examined why we've got the beliefs we have, why we have the behaviours we have. And it's only by going through this rigorous self-examination that we can ever truly become alive, that we can ever truly exist in a meaningful way. The rest of the time we're just in a stimulus response syndrome to the rest of the world around us, and the responses we're giving out aren't even ours. They're somebody else's. They're our friends, our family, etc. So it's important to know exactly who you are and why you do the things you do. Now there's two forces against this. One is the internal dialogue. And this is another reason why we need to constantly be checking ourselves about the beliefs we have and the reason why we're responding to the world the way we do. Because we're constantly being subject to external influences. So we constantly need to keep clearing house to make sure that what we're saying and what we're doing is in accord with us, and that it is a part of us and not something that's been imposed upon from the outside world. Also, the internal dialogue it prevents us from actually experiencing reality. This endless chuntering that takes place inside our head, this mindless analysis of things, events, it removes us from reality. We're no longer in the now. We're either in the past or we're in the future, but we're not in the present. We're not living this moment. So we have the influences that have been imposed upon us, that have actually put us out of shape and made us into something else that need to be taken away and removed. And then there's the internal dialogue, that device that allows us to be manipulated and actually keeps it as at a distance from reality. So first of all, we need to be able to open up a channel to our true selves, so that we can actually really know what is going on inside. And a novel way of doing that is to turn ourselves into a human jukebox. Now, bear with me, this may seem odd. Many years ago, when I first started looking at how I could turn off the internal dialogue, so I was able to actually live in the moment, I decided to actually train myself to constantly having songs run in my head. And every human being has a bank of hundreds, if not thousands, of songs that they've heard across the course of their life. So if you actually start turning yourself into a human jukebox, it does have the effect of switching off the internal dialogue, because you drown it out. How can it carry on chuntering away when there's music playing in your head? But there's a secondary game as well. Not only does it stop the internal dialogue, but it also gives you an insight into what's going on inside you. It allows you to actually reach beyond the superficial fluff that the world has imposed upon us to the real core you, and find out what's happening with you at an emotional level. And this is by the selection of songs. When you actually start off turning yourself into this human jukebox, it's very stilted. You might be humming or singing out loud or just trying to keep it in your head when you're outside. And it's difficult. You find your mind goes blank. But if you persevere with it for a few days, and every time you realize that your mind is chuntering away, that you're saying things to yourself, it might be about an emotional situation, it might be about different views about politics, whatever, but you want to turn off that internal dialogue. Reach out for the first song you can get. Even if it's chirpy, chirpy, cheap, cheap. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You're conditioning yourself. You're training yourself to become this human jukebox. And you'll find that after a few days, it becomes routine. And within, say, a week or 2 weeks, it becomes automatic. Now, in the beginning, you're just trying to drown out the internal dialogue so you can actually directly experience reality. But as you reach the second phase of it becoming automatic, you will realize that because your mind has this huge collection of songs, that the significance of what song your mind chooses gives you an indication of what's going on inside. So if ever you want to check on what's going on inside, all you have to do is listen to what you're playing.